Welcome back to the channel. This is Trendy Storm and you are watching 7th part of What If Naruto Became Heir of No Life Prince. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Frost Country 6 months later. Orochimaru tries to contain his impotent rage at having been forced to flee every one of his bases in the last 6 months. When his Sound 5 failed miserably to bring him Sasuke, he was forced to take a weaker body. The accursed Naruto Uzumaki arrived a month later with Tayuya, Anko, and 4 other kunoichi, forcing him to abandon Sound. The snake cursed the blonde and his horde, chasing him and Kabuto through all of his bases but eluding him each time, as if the boy were playing with him. Orochimaru decided to go to a base that no one knew about, which was here in Frost and preparing to move into Lightning Country. Kabuto should return soon, Orochimaru thought as he entered his throne room. However, Orochimaru comes to a halt as Kabuto sits on the throne, dressed in black cargo pants, black boots, a white dress shirt, and a forest green suit vest. Finally, he wore a black coat with 6 silver buttons on each side and 2 long tails with white gloves. "Hello, Orochimaru-sama," says Kabuto as he adjusts his glasses. Orochimaru's snake-like eyes narrow in rage. "Where have you been?" he hisses. Forgive me Orochimaru SSS-sama," Kabuto sputters, his body shaking violently. Orochimaru was about to shunshin away when Kabuto exploded, ensnaring the Sannin with fleshy tendrils from his chest and stomach. 6 months of running, a voice from Kabuto's body croons. "Kukuku." "No more running," cackles a second but feminine voice. "It's time for him to fucking die," sneers another feminine voice. Orochimaru struggles in the midst of the tendrils as Kabuto's body convulses once more, rising like a broken puppet and transforming into Naruto, wearing Kabuto's glasses. "Hello there, Petamaru. Naruto Uzumaki here, and we have the transcripts," Naruto says as he adjusts his glasses. "How did you find me?" "You cursed child," hisses Orochimaru. "Emachi, that rat bastard from Sea Country," Anko sneers as he steps out from behind the snake Sannin. "He sang like a fucking child, and I gained another ability," says Tayuya to his left. Both women were dressed in skin-tight black short-sleeve leotards, matching fingerless gloves that reached their biceps, and thigh-high boots with straps and a hooded black cloak. Tayuya has a slimmer waist, shapely legs, D-cup breasts, and much shorter hair in a spiky, pixie bob cut with cat-like brown eyes. Kabuto was apprehended near the border. He was extremely agitated with me. He was convinced he was going to kill me. "Oh well, I'll put his vast knowledge to good use," Naruto says as he reclines on his throne, his legs crossed. Orochimaru clenches his teeth but opens his mouth wide to fire Kusanagi's sword at Naruto, but Anko intercepts it with her right arm turned to snakes. "Sorry, sensei, but this is now mine," Anko says. The tendrils slowly transform into chains and dig into Orochimaru's skin, much to the delight of his former charges. "Music to my undead heart," Tayuya says as she pulls out her flute and begins playing a haunting melody with Anko on violin. Naruto gets to his feet and removes his coat, rolling his neck and shoulders as he rolls up his sleeves. "The old man sees you dead through me. My lovely snake and Oni get their vengeance through me. You will live forever through me," says Naruto, revealing his Rinnegan. "Why you killed P-Pain?" hisses Orochimaru, his eyes widening from the pain coursing through his body. Naruto rips open his shirt with a sneer. "Something not even you could do," he sneers. The chains draw Orochimaru in closer, and the Sannin screams in agony as Naruto's body absorbs him. "Through me, join Danzo in serving me," Naruto cries, a grin on his face. The Sannin screams stop abruptly as he is absorbed, and the chains sink back into Naruto as he holds his wrists up. "Drink my queens and feel the power of your former master," says Naruto. As they drink from their man, Anko and Tayuya quickly bite his wrists, moans escaping their muffled mouths. Tayuya gains a purple mark over her right eye as Anko gains a purple mark over her left, before pulling back with satisfied hisses of delight. "Thank you, Naruto," Anko says, kissing him tenderly. "Yeah, thanks, shithead," says Tayuya, licking her blood-stained lips. With a smile on her face, Anko steps back from Naruto. "So, what now?" "We're on our way home," she claims. Naruto grabs his coat, which absorbs into his body as his dress shirt and vest transform into a form-fitting black shirt with silver sleeves and a high-collar flak vest. "Since we're so close to lighting, I can look into something for Dragon," Naruto muses, keeping Kabuto's glasses on his face and the lens darkening. "That is certainly wise of you." Kumo isn't exactly forthcoming. According to Anko, her clothes are also changing. She's dressed in black form-fitting leather pants and knee-high heeled boots. A purple dress shirt, a low-cut corset vest, and a gray trench coat with black gloves. "I agree with her," Tayuya says as she changes into a new outfit. She is now dressed in a black double-breasted leather jacket, a black miniskirt peeking out from under the coat, tan pantyhose to show off her legs, and gray ankle boots. "Regardless, I'd like to confirm it. The Raikage may be a musclehead, but he's also intelligent," Naruto muses, resulting in a few clones. "Blow yourselves up and destroy this place," says Naruto, and the clones agree. Naruto, Anko, and Tayuya leave the base, which is connected by a drawbridge, to find Tenten, Kurenai, Hana, and Yugo waiting for them. "Wow, that was quick," Hana says. She's dressed in a revealing black one-piece swimsuit with her back exposed, gray arm sleeves, matching chaps, and black boots to her knees. Her clothing is also equipped with seals to allow for her transformations. "Why draw it out?" Yugo asks, dressed in a fitted black three-piece suit, a purple dress shirt similar to her hair, and heeled boots. "I concur. For years, Orochimaru has been a thorn in Anko and Tayuya's side," Kurenai expresses himself. She is dressed in a black nylon full bodysuit, a red mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible, and a dress that resembles bandages with a pattern resembling rose thorns, with ankle-length closed-toe boots. "If that's the case, why drag it out and let him run for so long?" asks Tenten. She is dressed in a revealing black cheongsam with purple trim that slits up to her hips and is paired with revealing black spats and black pantyhose. With knee-length kunoichi boots and fingerless arm sleeves and a black choker around her neck. "Because panda. I like toying with my prey," Naruto says as the base explodes behind them. "I told Anko and Tayuya that we were going to Kumogakure to finalize something for Dragon. Then we'll return to Konoha and resume our responsibilities," Naruto continues. "I'd like to try some Lightning's alcohol and dango to see if it can compete with Konoha," Anko says, to which everyone laughs. "Then, my queens, let us get started," and all of them explode into murders of crows of various colors that match their hair, says Naruto. Konohagakure. As Naruto and his queens pursued or tormented Orochimaru and Kabuto, many things changed in Konoha. One significant event was Hinata's death at the hands of her cousin Neji, who stabbed the heiress over 50 times with a kunai. The insane Hyuga then attacked his uncle, blinding him before killing him with the dreaded seal. Neji's final words were that he had avenged his father's murder at the hands of the main house. The Hyuga clan was thrown into disarray as a result of this, but Hanabi, with the help of the Hokage and her grandmother, saw the clan through the tragedy. The news of Hinata's death also struck a chord with Konoha's rookie ninja, reducing their numbers yet again. Sasuke's defection and Sakura's dismissal from the corps had an impact on Ino, and the rose-colored glasses had been exchanged for platinum blonde. This energized the remaining rookies, who used it to fortify themselves. Lee and Guy wept for their teammate, both feeling they had failed to steer him away from this dark path. Team Guy disbanded when Guy took Lee as his apprentice, and Team 7 disbanded when Karen became Tsunade's apprentice. Finally, Kiba and Shino joined forces with a young girl named Tamaki from Soraku. Another bit of news was the marriage of Kakashi and Yamato, which surprised many in Konoha because many thought he would never marry. Kakashi, on the other hand, surprised all of his peers by marrying Yamato while also revealing his handsome face to the world as he kissed his wife. This sent shockwaves throughout Konoha, as many people wondered what Kakashi looked like without his mask. Many women were immediately envious of Yamato's handsome husband, Kakashi. Karen adjusts her glasses as she walks to the hospital for a shift. I'll need to find teammates for the Chunin exams in Kumo, but who can I pick? She muses. Karen arrives at the hospital and runs into Shizune. How are you feeling today? Shizune inquires. I'm fine, but I'm worried about the Chunin exams, Karen responds. I see. I'm confident Tsunade-sama will find a solution, Shizune expresses himself. The pair begin their day's rounds, with Karen attending a few med-nin classes. Karen takes a break around midday and goes to Ichiraku Ramen, ordering 1 large miso, as she puts it. Coming up, yells Tucci. How are things going? Have you contacted Naruto? Ayame inquires, but Karen shakes her head. The last time I saw you was about a month ago. I believe he stated that he was from Hot Springs Country, Karen states. Being among the zoo must be exhausting, Ayame muses, shrugging her shoulders. Tucci quickly brings Karen her meal, and the redhead eats slowly while making small talk with the father-daughter duo. Thank you for the meal. I need to return, Karen apologizes and walks away. The rest of Karen's day is relatively quiet, and she returns to her apartment just before sunset. When the redhead enters her apartment, she finds a blue-eyed crow on her table, but it transforms into Naruto's form with his eyes closed. I'm not really here. I'm just passing along a message to you and Lady Fifth. Could you please do that for me? The crow speaks up. Karen nods and the crow smiles, first and foremost. Orochimaru is now dead. His life now in service of the no-life Duke, it begins, raising a finger and then another. Second, he and his brood are heading to Lightning Country to investigate a rumor for Commander Dragon, the crow continues, and Karen exhales. Then they could go to Kumo, Karen says, to which the crow nods. Do you have a problem? The crow inquires. Karen sighs and adjusts her glasses. The Chunin exams are in a month, and I need a team to participate, she explains. In thought, the crow cups its chin, perhaps he can assist. Inform Lady Fifth of your plans and his willingness to assist, it says, bowing dramatically. My time has come to an end. Lady Karen, good evening, the crow says this before melting back into its original form and breaking down into feathers. Karen quickly left her apartment and went to the Hokage to inform Tsunade of the message from Naruto. Needless to say, the older blonde was relieved to hear of Orochimaru's death and intrigued by Karen's request. It's intriguing that he would agree. Perhaps not attending his own has piqued his interest, Tsunade makes a comment. Naruto can take on any form he desires. He can conceal himself in plain sight, Karen states. Tsunade leans back in her chair and folds her arms in thought, that can work. He can provide you with teammates. Shizune. She says, as Shizune enters the office quickly. For the upcoming exams, you will be Karen's Jonin sensei. Naruto and his team will be enlightening, providing her with teammates, Tsunade declares. Will that work? Shizune wonders. It will happen. Naruto only needs to get her through the early rounds. Tsunade says this and begins writing a letter to Naruto, telling him to meet Shizune and Karen at the Frost Lightning border in 2 weeks. Tsunade then summons a small Katsuyu to deliver a message to the blonde vampire. "Will you have trouble finding him?" she inquires. "Milady, I shouldn't. His chakra is massive and distinct," Katsuyu says as she walks away. Tsunade says, "Prepare yourself accordingly," and Karen nods. Lightning territory. Near the border imposing Kumogakure was a small two-story bar where Naruto sat in a private booth on the second floor. He's dressed in black slacks with silver-tipped boots, a white dress shirt with a forest green suit vest, and his blonde hair is dyed black for the occasion. As the blonde awaits his honored guest, his queens were sleeping the day away. "Hello, Lady Katsuyu," Naruto says, raising a teacup to his lips as a small puff of smoke erupts in his lap. "Hello there, Naruto-kun. Tsunade-sama has sent me a message." Tsunade's message is relayed by Katsuyu. "I'll meet them in Frost Country, in Raimu Village." "Thank you for informing me," before dispelling, Naruto says, and Katsuyu nods. "Interesting. I'll be competing in Chunin exams. I'll use Haku and a new identity," Naruto thought as he finished his tea and paid for it. The blonde exits the shop and heads to his penthouse hotel room. Kurenai and Anko were in bed, the others in coffins, but Yugo was awake. It appears that Karen requires teammates for her exams in Kumo, Naruto muses. Understandable considering genin around her age are on teams and Karen is more support than frontline, Yugo says as she raises her sword to the light. "Perhaps I shouldn't have driven Neji insane," ponders Naruto. "Perhaps, but she was attempting to force an issue," Yugo says. Naruto crosses his legs and smiles, "We should have gotten her eyes. Kurenai could have used them," he says. "So who will you use?" Yugo asks as she puts her sword away. Naruto rolls his neck to loosen his tie, Haku, as well as a new form known as Menma, a daring young kunoichi. "During the exams, the six of you will work on your male persona. I'd like you to investigate Dragon's hunch," he claims. "Do we have a name?" Yugo asks as he takes a seat on his lap. "Mabui," Naruto ponders, his eyes turning purple. Shizune and Karen travel through the Raimu village in search of Naruto. "Did Naruto give a specific location?" Karen asks. Shizune is dressed as a jonin, but her sleeves are longer and cover her hands, not at all. "Only this town," she claims. Karen looks around the village, but a crowcaw draws her attention, prompting her to come to a halt and investigate the source. Shizune also stops at the caw and notices a few more, but they all have blue eyes. Could it be? She wonders as they fly away. "We should follow," Karen says, nodding as they follow the crows outside the village to a hill where two people are waiting. One is dressed in a Kiri hunter mask, a bodysuit, and a teal kimono, with long black hair flowing past their shoulder. "I'm starting to think I'll have to go into town," the second figure says. Her hair is black, and she wears a kitsune mask over her face, as well as a dark blue-gray robe with a gray lining and a fur collar. A pair of opera-length fingerless black gloves wrapped in studded red-brown leather straps, baggy black pants, and knee-high boots. Karen inquires, and the figure removes her mask. "Of course, but for the time being, call me Menma and this one Haku," Naruto says as he walks down the hill with Haku. "How will this work?" asks Karen. "Haku and I will make certain that you reach the finals." "It's up to you from there," says Naruto, and Karen nods. "Where have the others gone?" Shizune inquires. "They'll be waiting for us in Kumo." "So, Sensei, shall we proceed?" As they take off toward the land of lightning and Kumogakure, Naruto says and Shizune nods. Team Shizune arrived in Kumo a few days later and were met by the most militant of the Great Five. "Names," says a guard. "My name is Shizune Kato, and this is my team," Menma, Haku, and Karen Uzumaki, Shizune says, and Naruto notices the guard's eyes light up. She stamps their travel passes and marks the location of their hotel. Curfew is 10, she adds, and all four nod. The vampire was most interested in Kumogakure, so my queens, Naruto thought as he followed his team. She is the Raikage's left hand, but she does not go by Namikaze. Nowhere in public Kurenai relays information. She's a prude and a demure woman, Anko observes. She is a skilled swordswoman. I was able to observe her training Yugoslavia as a state. As the group arrived at their hotel, several other teams milled about, but all eyes were on the sole Konoha team. Continue surveillance and possibly obtain a DNA sample to compare to mine, Naruto thought, and received 6 affirmatives. The team locates their hotel room, and Naruto constructs a privacy barrier to allow them to speak freely. So, what brought you to Lightning? Shizune inquires. Naruto raises his hand, and Haku transforms into a wisp of smoke, saying, chasing a rumor for Dragon, before resuming his true form. Rumor, says Shizune. Dragon believes I may have living family on my father's side, Naruto says, shocking both of them. The Namikaze may have descended from a clan in Lightning. Before coming to fire, and possibly descended from that, Naruto continues. As Karen unpacks her belongings, Shizune pours herself some water. Why not go through official channels? Karen asks. Kumo disregards official channels. They are obsessed with bloodlines. They attempted but failed to kidnap my mother. I tried again with Hinata, but she died after her uncle died. Hell, now that they know a purebred Uzumaki is among them. They'll go to any length to get their hands on you, Naruto elaborates. Then you'll protect me? Karen asks, and Naruto nods, but notices Shizune's solemn expression. Since you brought it up. Naruto, were you to blame for what happened to Hinata and her father?
Shizune asks.
Are you asking if I manipulated Neji with my Sharingan to stab Hinata 55 times and blind her father? For thinking she could force me to marry her, Naruto says, crossing his legs. Why, yes. I saw her body, and what you did shook the Hyuga, Shizune expresses himself. Naruto straightens his legs and places his chin on his palm, true, but Hanabi is the heiress. The Hyuga have evolved. The cage bird seal was abolished, and the sniffling pervert created a better seal for the entire clan, he begins but then stops. What I did to Hinata was horrifying, but with her death, the Hyuga have changed for the better, Naruto continues. Indeed, Shizune says. What I did will appear horrible to the good, but I can accept that in order to protect what is mine, Naruto says, as Shizune sighs. The Raikage office was located in the village's tallest tower, and inside was the Yondaime Raikage Yatsuki. He is an imposing and muscular man with cornrows on his blonde hair, a small mustache, and a goatee. His face is defined by prominent cheekbones, tear troughs beneath his eyes, and a prominent crease across his forehead. The guard from the gate stood opposite A. Are you positive? A asks, and the guard nods. A is dressed in a white haori with no shirt, black pants with ripped ends, Kumo shin guards, and shinobi sandals with large, golden vambraces on his wrists. Yes, Raikage-sama, the guard said, according to F. A leans back in his chair, his chin cupped in thought, and Uzumaki, possibly a pure one. What about her co-workers? He inquires. Haku is one of them. A male wearing a Kiri-style hunter mask, and a female wearing a kitsune mask, F clarifies, and A dismisses her. Mabui-san, F says as Mabui enters with several reports for A. Mabui nods her head. Mabui has mocha skin, green eyes, and light gray hair pulled back into a bun on either side of her face. She is dressed formally in a dark gray long-sleeve, high-collar dress shirt and skirt, as well as long earrings and high-heel sandals. Here is the current exam roster, Mabui says. A looks over the team rosters and notices that Kumo has the most teams. Suna dispatched 5 teams. Iwa sent 2 people, one of whom was his granddaughter. Kiri did not send one, but Konoha did, along with some minor villages. A makes a note. Kiri is still recovering from their civil war, and Konoha witnessed the death of a Hyuga heiress and the defection of the last Uchiha. Mabui says. A snorts. If only we'd gotten her when she was a child, A says as he throws the report on the desk. Make sure Team Yugito is aware of their new orders, he adds. New orders, says Mabui. They must do everything in their power to obtain the Uzumaki girl, A says, and Mabui's breath catches. Are you sure about this, A-sama? Mabui inquires. A films a look for Mabui, without a doubt. We were unable to obtain the Hyuga, so this Uzumaki has fallen into our lap. Konoha, unlike the Hyuga, cannot complain about the exams. Every day, people die, he claims. Mabui frowns internally, but bows and excuses herself before exiting A's office, where she notices a woman waiting for her. Can I assist you? Asks Mabui. Yes, my name is Victoria, and I sent a letter about purchasing some land and building another water treatment plant, the woman says as she hands a card to Mabui. Mabui accepts the card but notices Victoria's security. 3 equally attractive men dressed in tailored black suits, one with black hair and haunting red eyes. The second has black hair with a bluish tint in a fanned ponytail and pupil-less brown eyes, while the third has long purple hair and chocolate eyes. Please follow me. We'll meet in my office, Mabui says this, and the 4 of them follow her to her office. What made you decide to want to purchase land in Lightning? Mabui asks as she takes a seat at her desk across from Victoria. My boss, Yukiko Kiryu, once told me that while there are many things one can own, one should always own something that people require. Water is one such requirement, Victoria expresses herself. That is something no one can live without, muses Mabui. Kumo has numerous hydroelectric plants, and water treatment plants are desperately needed in our country. Do you have a story planned? Mabui inquires. We were hoping to scout several land areas, Victoria says, and Mabui nods slowly. I'll have to arrange something after the Chunin exams. Is that okay? Victoria nods as Mabui says. Thank you, Ms. Mabui, says Victoria, and Mabui nods before rising to her feet and leading them to the door. Again. Thank you so much, Victoria says as she walks away with her bodyguard, but she pauses. Oh, may I have your full name please for the future? She asks. Mabui Namikaze, says Mabui, blinking slightly but softly, and Victoria nods, bowing once more and excusing herself. She and her guards exit the Reikage Tower and proceed to their hotel room. Nice job with the genjutsu, Nai, a voice said. With a glance to the fanned ponytail man, the red-eye man smirks. Thank you, Anko. It was subtle enough to elicit her family name, Kurenai pondered. As a result, she is related to Naruto in some way. Why would Dragon be interested in knowing that? Yugu pondered. Who knows, but Naruto-kun will be happy, Kurenai reasoned. They arrive at one of the civilian hotels and proceed to the penthouse suite, where they are greeted by Tenten, Hana, Tayuya, Shiro, and Kuro. Naruto and his team have arrived, Tayuya says. Kurenai and the others revert to their original forms as Anko begins to giggle. I'm curious if Naruto will let us fuck him in our male forms. He's in a female one, all the queens blush as she says this. Anyway. What did you discover? Hana asks. Her name is Mabui Namikaze, but she is not publicly known, Kurenai says. Why wouldn't she? Victoria wonders. Namikaze is the surname of Naruto's father, Kiroi Senko Minato Namikaze. It's interesting that the Raikage has someone close to him who is related to Yondaime-sama, Yugoslavia as a state. Maybe he knows and keeps her as a trophy. Naruto stated that the Namikaze splintered years ago. In the same way that Senju and Uzumaki, Tenten expresses himself. Perhaps she's useful and knows many of Kumo's secrets, Hana speculates. Then Naruto-sama will take her, says Victoria, to which the queens nod. She does have chakra at the Jonin level. Her role suggests she isn't a fighter, but it begs the question, Kurenai expresses himself. Mabui arrives at a training ground to find Team Yugito led by Nibi Jinchuriki Yugito Ni. What brings you here, Mabui? Yugito inquires. Her hair is long, straight, and blonde, and it is bound with taut bandages. She has dark eyes and red lipstick. She is dressed in a short-sleeved black and purple blouse, black pants with clouds on them, purple fingerless gloves, and a chain of blue beads wrapped around her left hand. I have orders from Raikage-sama, Mabui says, raising an eyebrow. He's ordered your team to recruit a Konoha genin named Karen Uzumaki. Her teammates are expendable, Mabui says, her tone sad. Uzumaki in relation to the red-hot habanero, Omoi says, before being slapped by his teammate Karui. Omoi is a young, dark-skinned man with short, spiky white hair and dark eyes framed by curving eyelashes from the corners. He is dressed in an overlong shirt with a hood, red bandage handguards, Kumogakure shin guards, a flak jacket with black pants, and the same color Hitai 8. Shut up! Yells Karui. Karui has long spiky red hair and amber eyes, and she is dressed in a long, short sleeve dress with frilly edges and the Kumogakure flak jacket. 2 simple yellow earrings, fishnet stockings, thigh-high boots with white soles, and her Hitai 8 wrapped around her head like a bandana. I don't think this is cool, Samui, the team's final member, says. She has a slim build, blue eyes, and shoulder-length blonde hair cut in an asymmetrical bob. She is dressed in a low-cut outfit with mesh armor underneath, a short skirt with red handguards, high boots, and a modified girdle similar to a Kumogakure flak jacket. Perhaps so, Samui, but orders are orders, Yu-Gi-Oh says. As Yugito continues to go over drills with her team, Mabui sighs and excuses herself. I wonder if Konoha will cause any issues, a voice in Yugito's head says. It won't matter, Matabi, because it will happen in the Thunder Pass. Killing is permitted, and the girl will go missing, Yugito reasoned, and the giant cat sighed at her host's folly. The Hokage might bring it up, Matabi says, but Yu-Gi-Oh ignores the monster cat. Alright team. You have your orders for tomorrow. I'm sure Raikage-sama will have teams herd the Konoha team to you. Her teammates are expendable and the Uzumaki must be captured unharmed, Yugito says, to which all 3 of them nod. The following day, Team Yugito arrives at the staging ground for the exams, which lead to the Thunder Pass. That has to be the Uzumaki, says Karui. It's odd Konoha sent 1 team. It must mean she's strong, Omoi says, moving the lollipop in his mouth from side to side. Or the 2 with her. They have an aura, Samui says. Darui clears his throat and commands everyone's attention, saying, Welcome to the Chunin exams, and going over the rules for the single round of the exam before the finals. Each team is given 1 scroll and must endure the valley for 7 days while carrying their scroll to the summit of Mount Rokurai. We'll wait a day and then move in, Samui says, and both nod. The round starts with the teams charging into the valley towards Mt. Rokurai. Samui and her team avoid most other teams, but they pay attention to one of Iwa's teams. Kuretsuchi, the granddaughter of the current Tsuchikage, was the most notable member of the team. She has the Yoten Keke Genkai. Should we capture her as well? Karui asks. No, she's too high profile, Samui says as they continue down the valley. Other Kumo teams harassed the Konoha team all day and night, giving Samui and her team the upper hand, or so they thought. The following day, Samui and her team attacked the Konoha team near a small cave entrance. The Uzumaki must be in the cave, says Karui. The other could be waiting for us. I'll move in first and attack. You converge from their flanks, Samui says as she signs and both nod. Samui draws her Kodachi swords and leaps towards Haku, causing him to shoot forward in a flurry of strikes. Cloud beheading, Karui and Omoi exclaim as Samui leaps past him and into the cave. Samui rushes into the cave to find Menma laying on her back but no sign of Karen. Samui approaches the downed Menma with caution before quietly kneeling and removing the mask. Samui sees a beautiful young woman, but her eyes flash open and she quickly pins the blonde on her back. Samui fights Menma, but the difference in strength is vast, especially before Menma tears open Samui's top and exposes her right breast. Menma bites into Samui's exposed breast, alerting her teammates, and the pair rush inside. What the? Exclaims Omoi. Menma raises her head from Samui and returns her gaze, blood dripping from her mouth, causing both of them to gasp and their eyes to widen. Monster! Karui exclaims, charging forward with her sword drawn and ready to strike. As Omoi follows behind to rescue Samui and Shunchins from the cave, the redhead slashes Menma's right arm. I need to get her somewhere to have her wound checked, Omoi thought, taking his gaze away from Samui's bare breast but failing to notice her skin paling and black veins spreading. Damn it, I don't know any medical stuff, Omoi says as he finds a suitable spot and places Samui down. Oh Omoi, Samui says quietly. Omoi turns to face Samui, but she knocks them to the ground, causing his breath to catch as her blue eyes turn a glowing purple. Omoi. I'm so hungry, she says. I have a lollipop in my pea pocket, says Omoi. Samui gropes her bare K-cup breast, hissing, jerking his head and biting his neck. As Karui approaches them, Omoi's screams echo through the wooded area, her eyes widen at the sight of Samui seemingly feeding on Omoi. He was barely moving as Samui rose from his body, her breathing heavy and visible, but her purple eyes locked onto Karui. Karui. I've decided to leave Kumo, says Samui. Karui clenches her teeth and tightens her grip on her sword. You're not Samui. This is some kind of genjutsu, she exclaims. Karui turns around as she hears footsteps and sees the headless, one-armed Menma carrying her head in the other. The Haku halves dragging themselves along the ground, the torso holding the head. Perhaps, but you'll never know, an echoing voice says. As Samui grabs Karui from behind, her left arm wraps around her waist and her right over her mouth. Don't worry, Karui. You'll live on inside me, Samui whispers into her ear before biting down. Samui muffles Karui's screams as she sinks her teeth into her throat. Her eyes were wide and filled with pain as she drank her dry. Karui sees the pieces of Menma reform into one with the body of Haku, but Menma transforms into a young man with blonde hair. Samui pulls away with a contented hiss of delight, and Karui falls face down, just as the blonde's gaze meets Naruto's. Naruto-sama, says Samui. With a smirk on his face, Naruto closes the gap and pulls Samui to his chest. None of that. Naruto is fine, he says, sharing a blood-stained kiss. The Karui and Omoi corpses begin to move, but their skin is rotted and their eyes are blank. They thought they could hide their relationship, Samui explains after taking a step back. I'll deal with them. Your sisters are waiting for you, Naruto says, placing a hand on Samui's chest before she vanishes in a yellow flash. Naruto groans and rolls his neck, saying, Haku be a deer, as Senbon pierce the pair's chests, turning them to ash. When Naruto returns to the cave, his chameleon dispels its disguise, revealing a still sleeping Karen. "It's time to go, Karen," says Naruto. 5 minutes more, Karen mumbles, and Naruto sighs, touching his brow and taking a seat. "Alright, but we need to finish this round before more Kumo ninja try to capture you," Naruto muses as he leans on the chameleon. Menma, Haku, and Karen arrive at the base of MT. Rockeri around midday on the 5th day, with the sun slightly shaded by clouds. "It's quite high," Karen remarks. "Perhaps. I want you to hop on my back," Menma says as she looks up. Menma hooks her hands behind her back to keep Karen in place before rushing up the summit with Haku in tow. "Will we be attacked?" Karen exclaims. "Climbing would be more important than fighting," Menma exclaims. The group continues up the mountain until they reach one of its many plateaus, at which point Menma says, "We'll take a break," and lets Karen down. "Why did you take that Kumo Kunoichi?" Karen asks, her senses stretched as she stretches her stiff joints. "She can be useful, and after taking her blood. I know she's close to the Nibi Jinchuriki. I'm working on a plan to get the Nibi for myself," Menma says. "What?" yells Kyubi. "Something wrong, Kyubi." "Don't like what I want to do," the male-turned-female vampire giggled darkly. "Accursed leech," hisses Kyubi. "Don't worry, you're angry little. I mean big head. If it doesn't work and can't be sealed in a half-living, half-dead body, I'll set the Nibi free," Menma reasoned. Talking to the Kyubi, Karen says, and Menma nods before returning her focus to Haku. "I broke him. His loyalty was absolute to Zabuza," Menma muses, standing almost like a statue with no outward movements. "He's handsome." "Well, a little effeminate but handsome," Karen says, reaching for Haku's mask to see his face. "The one who made me looked similar. High cheekbones and slightly girlish," Menma says as he kneels for her to climb on. "What happened to him?" Karen wonders as they continue up the mountain. "He died, but not before making me his progeny. He was sealed away by certain forces and awaited someone to free him, which I did," Menma says as Karen hugs her from behind. The group climbs the mountain without incident and reaches the desired summit by nightfall. "Scroll?" A Jonin named Shi asks, hiding his surprise, which Menma notices. Shi is a young man with dark eyes and blonde hair that is parted in the middle. He's dressed in a sleeveless black shirt, a one-strap over one shoulder white flak jacket, black Hitai 8 and elbow-length arm guards, red and white Kumogakure shin guards, and sandals. "Here you go," Karen says as she hands Shi their scroll and nods to her teammates. "You'll have to stay here until the round is over. The tram will take you back down the mountain at the appointed time. Fighting between teams is not permitted," she says, and the three nod. Menma and her team enter the mountain lodge to find a room after noticing Kuretsuchi's team sitting in the common area. "So the Soul Tree Hugger team succeeded," Kuretsuchi says. She has bright pink eyes and black hair in a shoulder-length ponytail, and she is dressed in the traditional Iwagakure shinobi and kunoichi uniform. It consists of a red uniform with a lapel over her right leg and a missing right sleeve, a brown Iwagakure flak jacket, fishnet tights, and a skirt over them with sandals. "We did it because of Menma and Haku," Karen says, trying to appear tough. Kuretsuchi scoffs and picks up her mug of hot chocolate, sneering, "Seems no thanks to you then." Her teammates Sumito and Daikoku laugh. Menma places a hand on Karen's shoulder, "Fufufu. I see what you're doing. Trying to rile us up and we get kicked." "Clever girl," Menma muses. "It appears that Konoha has a smart one," Kuretsuchi muses. "I'm almost tempted to stay in the finals to fight her. That is if it's one-on-one matches," Menma says as she and her team leave the Iwa team to find a room for themselves. If it isn't, Karen says as she removes her mask. Karen sighs and slumps onto the bed. I need a long shower, she muses. Haku will keep an eye out for anything. I need to check on my newest queen, Naruto says, shifting his gaze away from Menma. See you later, Karen says as she walks to the bathroom to masturbate about Haku as Naruto walks away. Darui scans the remaining teams but doesn't see Samui's team. This isn't good, he thinks, glancing at A and Yuki.
Congratulations on passing this round of the Chunin exams.
The next and final round with many nobles.
Civilians in your cage.
It will be a series of single or tag team matches. Your opponent or opponents will not be chosen until the day before the finals. 1 month from now, A begins and clears his throat once more. The matches will take place in our newly constructed Coliseum outside of Kumogakure. Any genin who wishes to withdraw has until the week before the finals to do so. Finally, a tram will take you back down the mountain and to the entrance of Thunder Pass. That is all, A exclaims before disappearing with a flash of lightning. So, what do we do? Asks Karen. As they walk to the tram, Menma adjusts her mask. We'll have to compete. You and I will do the tag team match, and Haku will take the singles, she says. They shared a car with a few teams from Suna for the tram ride, but one stood out, Team Shira. Considering what happened, I'm surprised Suna was able to send teams for the exams, Menma says. Yes, Tamari-sama wanted to show the other nations that we are not completely closed off from the outside, Shira says with a nod. He has a muscular build, spiky taupe gray hair that is combed backwards except for 2 bangs, and numerous scars on both his body and face. He's dressed in a long, sleeveless dark green shirt with a light green sash, gray pants, and black arm braces. Tamari-sama, isn't she the youngest Kage ever and one of only 2 female Kage? Karen asks, and Shira's teammate Sen nods. Indeed, she is right behind the Hokage. The operation changed things in Suna for the better. Tamari-sama has instituted significant reforms, Sen says. She has brown eyes with black pupils, sandy brown hair in a ponytail, 2 strands of hair on each side of her face, and 2 braided strands. She's dressed in a mesh armor bodysuit beneath a red tube dress with a blue-purple belt, fingerless gloves, shin guards, and black shinobi sandals. Doesn't Lady K's Kage have 2 brothers? Asks Menma. Yes. Gara-sama has changed greatly and has become the shield of Suna. Please thank Jiraiya-sama for repairing his seal, Team Shira-Yome's final member says. Her brown hair is tied in 2 ponytails that curl as it reaches the ends. She's dressed in sleeveless mesh armor beneath a tan overall with gray elbow protectors, light blue shorts with purple leg warmers, and black shinobi sandals. We will, says Karen. The journey returns to silence as the 2 teams separate, returning to Kumogakure and their respective hotels. Didn't you set them on the paths they're on now? Karen asks in their room. I did. It was a way of putting Suna on a better path. Plus, I own several places in Suna to elevate them as well, Naruto says, reintroducing Haku into himself. So, what are we going to do for the next month? Karen inquires. We'll work on your speed and defense. You're long range and a medical ninja. So unless you have the Byakugan no in. You don't need to be on the front line, Naruto says, crossing his legs. Tsunade-sama hasn't tried that with me yet, Karen says, and Naruto nods slowly. The Raikage Tower. A slams his fist on his desk, nearly breaking it in half. What the hell happened? He yells. Yugito stood in front of the imposing A, with Darui to her right and Mabui to her left. I don't know Raikage-sama, she says, worried about her missing team. Did they even complete the round? A asks. No, boss. It's been confirmed, Darui responds. Such opportunity squandered by incompetence, A hisses as he reclines in his chair and pinches his nose. I want you to go into the Thunder Pass and find them. Whether you find them captured or dead. You have senses like the Inuzuka from Konoha, A says. Yugito stands up and bows her head, saying, I will Raikage-sama, before disappearing in a swirl of blue flames. How could things have gone wrong? Yugito wondered as she reappears at the staging ground at the entrance to Thunder Pass. I warned you. The Raikage is abusing his power. Especially with Gyuki's partner being a little girl. You are the only one battle ready, Matabi says. Yugito ignores the Nibi and races into the pass, her sense of smell heightened. Your blind loyalty to Kumo will spell doom for us both, Matabi warns, but Yugito ignores her once more. Yugito soon arrives at a cave and enters as Samui's scent leads her in and Karui and Omoi's scents lead her out. Blood. Dried and days old, Yukito thought, but then he heard her name on the wind. Yugito leaps to her feet and rushes out of the cave into the forest, following the scents of Omoi and Samui until she reaches a clearing as mist rolls in. UGI-2, says a voice. Yugito whips around in the mist, extending her nails into long claws, but the mist stinks of several scents and blood.
UGI-2, the voice says again.
The silhouette of a female figure appears slowly in the mist as Yukito narrows her eyes, but they widen. Samui? She exclaims. As Yugito backs up a few steps, Samui appears in a nearly see-through white nightgown. Sensei. Let me give you something. Something so very cool, Samui says, a glint in her cobalt blue eyes. I don't care. Where are Karui and Omoi? Why didn't you get the Uzumaki? Yugito says. There's something very wrong here, Matabi says, but Yu-Gi-Oh ignores her. Samui closes the gap, but Yugito charges forward, her claws aimed at Samui's chest, but the Nibi container simply passes through her as if she were the mist itself. Fu. Why do you attack me, sensei? Says Samui, who appears to be coming from nowhere. You failed in your mission. A-sama is not pleased and wants to know why. Yugito yells, striking at the appearing Samui, but she dissolves into mist once more. Oh. That. Well, I found something much better, ponders Samui. Yugito is slammed into a tree, but not before she can use Matabi's chakra to clear the mist. Gogi Fin echoes out, followed by darkness. Yugito awakens to find herself bound to a tree by rose thorns. What? She hisses, attempting but failing to draw on Matabi's chakra. Don't bother. The Nibi has been sealed off, a hissing voice says. Who are you? Yugito exclaims as she looks up to see a hooded figure in a long dark red, almost burgundy cloak. Asking someone in mask. Who they are defeats the purpose of the mask. However, I did not come to speak with you but the being you host, the figure says, lifting their head enough to reveal a faceless mask with no features but a lone eye staring back. Yugito exclaims as he notices a Sharingan eye and quickly fades into darkness. I come with an offer, the figure says as they find themselves in a large expanse with the flaming Nibi towering over them. Offer? Exclaims Matabi. Yes. I offer you freedom from your host and Kumo, says the figure, raising their fist. Matabi raises her left paw and presses one of her nails against her fist, causing her yellow and green eyes to narrow. An intriguing offer, Naruto Uzumaki, or shall I call you No Life Duke, Matabi remarks. Naruto is fine. I offer you freedom. either as a familiar or in your current state. In either case, you would be free, he says as the burgundy cloak melts away to reveal him in his Anbu gear. Kumo has always been my prison. Since Hashirama Senju captured me and sold me to the Shodem Reikage, Matabi begins, unaware of anything around her. Naive on his part. He believed that having all 9 unbalanced things and giving you all away. Keeping the Kyuubi for himself. Though never using his power, says Naruto. Kurama is not one to be used, Matabi muses, and Naruto bursts out laughing, perplexing the monster cat. Kurama huh. Interesting, thought Naruto. Accursed leech and loose-lip pussy, Kyuubi or Kurama hisses. Kurama and I have a mutual but working hatred for one another, but due to my new status in the world. We are stuck together until I shake off the mortal coil. Or he can become my familiar, Naruto says. Never. Yells Kurama. So, what is your response? Asks Naruto. Matabi leans in closer to the blonde, I accept. I will be free of Kumo and I look forward to causing some destruction, she says, as Naruto grins and fades away with a curtsy. Yugito awakens again, still bound, but with Samui staring back at her. What is this? She struggles. Samui approaches Yugito slowly, reaching out her fingers to run them down Yugito's more modest chest. This is my resignation from Kumo. I've found a much better place by Naruto's side, Kun Samui says. Don't worry sensei. Like Karui and Omoi. You'll live on inside me, Samui coos as he bites Yugito on the throat. Yugito screams, her cheeks flushed, as Samui sinks her teeth into her neck, blood streaming down her blouse, her very essence sucked away by her student. As Samui drinks away her life, her defiance fades, her head slumps forward, and her heart stops pumping life-giving nectar for Samui to drink. Samui hisses in delight as her body pulls the corpse of Yugito ni of Kumogakure inside her. You're a natural, says Naruto. As her master approaches, Samui turns to give him a hungry and blood-stained kiss. From Samui's shadow emerges a small cat with 2 tails and mismatched eyes. To feel the wind on my skin again, muses the cat. Your sisters will be teaching you for a month. Then we'll begin our operation, he says, scratching Matabi's chin. It's clever. You take away one of Kumo's weapons, but you also damage their financial infrastructure by destroying the Colosseum. It can't be traced back to you because you're using a known enemy, Matabi says as Naruto grins darkly. I'll repay Kumo for my mother and adopted grandmother, and I might even lure Akatsuki's remains out of the shadows, Naruto says, and the 3 vanish. The next day, an enraged A dispatches 2 squads of Volt into Thunder Pass in search of Yugito, but all they find is the remains of a battle and a scrap of black cloth with a red cloud on it. A month later. Naruto follows his Kage, who is dressed in Kage robes over a gray kimono-style blouse with no sleeves, a broad, dark bluish-gray obi that matches her pants, and strappy-heeled sandals. You'd better be on your best behavior, says Tsunade. I will be. Unless provoked by the Tsuchikage. But I wonder if this is wise, says Naruto. He's dressed in black cargo pants that are taped around the shins and end in black work boots with orange laces. Long-sleeved dark blue shirt with Uzumaki swirl on both shoulders, forest green flak vest, Hitai 8 around his neck, and black gloves. It's time you step into the light. I made you my hand. So I have the right to use you however I see fit, Tsunade says. Hokage's hand. Such an honor, Naruto sighs behind his orange-tinted sunglasses. Naruto notices A and Mabui sitting in the Kage's booth, as well as the Sandame Tsuchikage Onoki Kamizuru, also known as the fence-sitter, and Godem Kage Tamari no Sabaku. You're late, Hokage, A snaps, but his eyes narrow as he notices Naruto. Tsunade takes off her cage hat and begins. "Apologies, but I wanted to see my team for coming. Sit," she says, pointing to Naruto. "This is my guard and Hokage's hand." "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze," Tsunade adds, and both men seize, as well as a slight wrinkle on Mabui's blank face. Temari's green eyes narrowed beneath her cage hat. "He's kinda handsome," she thought. "Namikaze?" exclaims Onoki. He is a small man with a triangular beard and an angular mustache, a big red nose, and thick brows. The top of his head is completely bald, but he has long white hair on the lower half of his head that is styled in a traditional Chanmage haircut and tied in a topknot with a yellow ribbon. He is dressed in a green and yellow coat with a red collar, a light green version of Iwa's flak jacket, and mesh armor, but he is missing both sleeves of his shirt and the single lapel on his right side, as well as tabi socks and sandals. "Yes. My father was the infamous Kiroi Senko, and my mother was the red-hot habanero," says Naruto, bowing with his right hand on his heart. HMPH. So Konoha can keep secrets. "Where did you hide him?" A says, frowning at Mabui. "Well, Raikage Dono. I was among the faceless, but Lady Fifth felt that should end. I am her hand and all that entitles." "Even if I don't know," says Naruto. "So he could be the Anbu who fought Gaara and sent him on a better path," Temari reasoned. Tsunade scoffs and takes a seat next to A, while Naruto moves behind her with a glance to Mabui. "Is something wrong, ma'am?" he asks, but Mabui shakes her head and clears her throat. No, it's just that you look like your father from what I've seen of him," Mabui says. "Thank you, but I sorta wished I had my mother's red hair instead of blonde. Perhaps I wouldn't have been raised in the manner I was," Naruto says, lifting his sunglasses to his brow. A gets to his feet and adds chakra to his voice before launching into a boring speech about the exams in Kumo. "Let the exams begin," exclaims A. The first match pitted Yome and Sen against a Kumo team, but the Suna duo came out on top, much to A's chagrin. The next match is called, and it's a Kumo Kunoichi Marui vs. Haku battle, but the broken ice user loses per his master's orders. "It appears your ninja wasn't up to the challenge," A says, and Tsunade scoffs before moving her hand and Naruto leans in closer. As A beckons for Mabui, whispering to her, the younger blonde nods and excuses himself, and she reluctantly nods and excuses herself. "Naruto-san," Mabui says, and Naruto comes to a halt, his hands pocketed. "Yes, Mabui-san," says Naruto. "The Raikage is tired of where you're going and has asked me to accompany you," Mabui says, and Naruto chuckles, slipping off his sunglasses to wipe them and then slipping them back on. "I see. I was on my way to check on our team," says Naruto. "Well, then, I'll follow you," Mabui says, and Naruto shrugs. As Mabui follows him, he casts Koto Amatsukami to get her to loosen her tongue. "I've set the explosive tags, Naruto," Tenten says. "Good. Make sure you all protect the daimyo. Except, well, you know," Naruto thought, and 7 affirmatives were given. "Naruto-san. The Hokage introduced you as Namikaze," says Mabui. "Indeed she did. Does that mean anything for someone from Kumo?" Naruto asks, lifting his sunglasses to his brow. Mabui looks down at the ground for a few moments before saying, "It does. My full name is Mabui Namikaze," and feigning shock. How is that possible?" asks Naruto. "The Namikaze were a clan of nomads that settled here in Lightning many years ago. However, Kumogakure's military machine saw fit to conscript every clan into their forces. Some of our clan managed to escape, but Kumo sent their best agents of murder after them," Mabui explains. "Well, not all," Naruto muses as he approaches the area designated for Konoha. "I'll wait outside," Mabui says, nodding and slipping inside. Mabui leans against the wall opposite the door, a feeling she hasn't felt since giving up welling up inside her. Hope arose in her heart because her clan had not been completely destroyed because she and Naruto were distant relatives. Mabui took the position of Ai's secretary to avoid dying on the front lines like so many of her clan members, even going so far as to conceal her clan name when Minato Namikaze became famous. Could I? Should I? Wondered Mabui. The door swings open, and Naruto steps out. "Shall we return?" he asks, and Mabui nods, following the blonde back to the cage booth. "Are you treated well here, Mabui-san?" asks Naruto. "I am the Raikage's secretary." A position not taken lightly, Mabui says, but the blonde has what he requires. As another singles match concludes, the pair makes their way to the cage booth. The two take their positions as Kuretsuchi makes her way onto the field to face a Suna ninja named Baro. Naruto watches with interest as Kuretsuchi demonstrates her Doten and Kekai Genkai skills. "I thought your granddaughter would be a Jonin by now," Tsunade observes as she uses quicklime to entrap Baro's puppets. "Kankuro needs to improve their training," Tamari reasoned. "She doesn't want to be promoted because of favoritism." "What about your Namikaze brat? Hide nor hair of him and you bring him here as your hand," Onoki scoffs, his gaze fixed on his granddaughter. "Ha." Naruto, unlike his father, has worked from the shadows. "He is an army killer in the Kyuubi Jinchuriki," Tsunade says, shocking Onoki, Tamari, and A. "So the Yondaime turned the Kyuubi into his own son." "Ha. Now I see why you kept him hidden," A says. Kuretsuchi has said on many occasions that she wants a strong man and the Uzumaki were considered genetic dynamos. "I do have Ku as my tentative successor. Perhaps that can work. Then Iwa could get their hands on the Uzumaki genetic," Onoki thinks as Kuretsuchi prepares to finish the match. "What is that?" asks Naruto, shaking Onoki's head. The four cage notice something floating above the arena that appears to be human-like. "People of Kumo, get ready to feel pain," a voice from above says, as if they were kami. "Take cover," Naruto yells, leaping from the booth and tossing a kunai. Onoki exclaims as Naruto vanishes in a flash, accompanied by several explosions and a blinding light.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.